Welcome to Lo que callamos los loan officers.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Manny, thank you so much for being here. Who do we have today?
We have Miriam Valdez with United Title and Escrow. She's here to help us answer some questions on title and learn more about what we can do to protect ourselves when purchasing a home.
Amazing, amazing. Miriam, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. It's always great to see you guys.
Of course.
En lo que callamos los loan officers.
All right. Can you say that? Say that again.
Lo que callamos los loan officers.
Manny, can you say that?
I cannot. I'll work on it. I'll practice it. But yeah, no. So I do have a great question here, actually, that I really think is important to a lot of people, including myself, because I ran into this issue purchasing my home. What is the difference between a title that is clean, fully clean, no issues, no baggage, no anything, versus one that has a lien on it, whether it be from the current seller, previous seller, anyone involved? What is the main difference?
The huge difference when you have clean title versus title with a cloud on it or uninsurable title is when we do a title report, we look at the chain of title and we look at the current mortgages and we look at if there's any judgments or liens on the property, right? We want to make sure that title is clean by making sure there's no gaps in the chain of title. We also want to make sure that we have enough to pay off any mortgages and that this current owner or previous owners have not been sued and there's no liens or judgments against the property. The difference is a title that is not clean or uninsurable is a title that has liens from either previous owners or current owners. And a clean title is a title that doesn't have any of that, which means it can be ready to be transferred to the new owner.
And is that normal? Like some house that is completely free of liens?
Yeah, it could be normal. Yeah, we have properties that, for example, if the current owner purchased them cash, there's not going to be any mortgages on it. And if they've never been sued, had no problems, that title is clean. Versus a person that has a mortgage on it, having a mortgage on your title doesn't mean it's not clean, okay? Having a mortgage on title just means that at the time you sell, you have to pay off that mortgage. When we're talking about title not being clean, we're talking about judgments and liens, HOA liens or lawsuits that turn into a lien
or unreleased deed of trust. I noticed that sometimes we have those where the previous owner probably didn't clean that.
Exactly. Unreleased deed of trust are the most common title issues. And what's an unreleased deed of trust? It's a trust that at some point was paid either through a closing or a refinance, but the lender or the title company didn't do their due diligence to get the certificate of satisfaction recorded. So that's the only difference. And that's the most common title issue, by the way.
Yeah. Now, and let me ask you, so when a title company does their search, right? When you are searching, of course, at the courthouse through the abstract, are you searching for judgments for the person or for the property? Because that's a common question from my customers. They're like, so wait, is the house as a different person? How do you?
No, we search for everything.
Okay.
Yeah, we search the house, land records. Think of it, a title report as a credit report of a property, right? We search and make sure everything is there. We also search for judgments against the current owner, previous owners, and even the incoming owner.
Nice. Yeah. Interesting. Wow.
We go back to 60 to 100 years of research on a full title search.
So do you guys see, for example, a child support lien someone has on title? Really?
If it's been recorded, yes. So remember that anything that we see on title has to be recorded. So just because someone has child support or late child support, doesn't mean that there's a lien on the property. It has to go through the legal system to become a lien.
So being in arrears on a child support doesn't mean that it's gonna be on the.
Not necessarily. They have to file a lawsuit, and then that lawsuit becomes a judgment if it's in the favor of the person suing you, and then that judgment attaches to the property if you own it.
So what happens with mechanic liens? Because I have some of my customers that were trying to sell their house, and then suddenly they had a mechanic lien against the title. So tell me how did that happen?
Yeah, so mechanics lien is a lien placed by any contractor that has given either work or provided labor or materials to the property, right? They do that today and they have 90 days to file a lien. So a lot of people say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and sell this property within those 90 days. Sellers sign affidavits at closing saying, I don't have any risk of a mechanic's lien. But let's say it does pop up and a contractor goes, they don't care if the property is sold or not. They go and they file a mechanics lien within that time period, and now the current owner is stuck with it. That's when title insurance comes in and covers against those liens. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's a good point. And one of the things that I guess all of us want to know is how can we avoid making issues within title? So what can a buyer do to protect themselves? What are good tips and what are errors, I guess, that they can do?
Yeah. So as a buyer, the incoming person, right? The way that you can protect your title to the property of any liens or judgments is making sure you don't get sued.
Number one.
Right? Number one.
Behave,
yeah. Because if you do get sued and the judge rules against the other person, that lawsuit now becomes a judgment and it hovers around your property. And when you refinance or when you sell, it's going to attach. Liens for HOAs. So if you have a property that's in an HOA or a condo and you don't pay your HOA or your condo, that's going to result in a lien. So by the time you refinance again or you sell, that's going to show up.
How quickly does that pop up? Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay. Each HOA company has their own regulations as to how aggressive they want to be towards the client. We've had situations where they put a lien and they don't collect it because they know that when you sell or refinance, they're going to get paid and they're going to incur interest and all that stuff. So it depends. But a lien can sit on your property for a very long time. If the person that benefits from the lien renews it, it could affect you the entire time. Judgments last 10 years from the day they're placed.
Oh, wait. So if I wait 10 years, then nothing happens? Then they cannot, that doesn't apply anymore?
So if the judgment was filed prior to, I think, 2011, it lasts for 20 years. It expires in 20 years. Any judgment filed after that is 10 years. So yeah, if you wait for 10 years, then it disappears. It doesn't attach to the property. It still attaches to you personally, but not to the property.
Interesting.
And it's important to clarify when it comes to judgments, guys, that if you own the property as husband and wife, and the judgment or the lawsuit is only against one of the spouses, it doesn't attach to the property.
Oh, that's
because
pretty good.
It's husband and wife.
So a great advice. That's a good tip. If you have personally a lien or a judgment against you, add your wife on that title, and then pretty much that lien doesn't attach to the house. That's pretty much it.
Right. But remember, when it comes to title, it's all time sensitive. So, for example, if you get sued today and you add your wife tomorrow, you were sued today. It doesn't protect you. But if you add your wife today and a lawsuit comes up, a judgment comes up the next day, then you are protected because the property becomes marital property. Except the IRS and the state. Those are taxes, guys.
Oh, man. Well, I have a great question. That was a great answer, by the way, from one simple question. But why do we have to pay owner's title insurance? Why do buyers have to pay for that?
Are you about to say that it's expensive?
I didn't say that yet, but I wanted to know why.
Title insurance covers you precisely on what we were just talking about. A document to be legally enforceable doesn't need to be recorded. We record for public notice, right? So for example, if a lawsuit happens and the timing of closing happens between that and the lawsuit comes in after the new owner takes ownership, the title company did not see it, right? We only see what's recorded. Remember, the title search is that credit report for the property, and what is reported? What's recorded. There are certain things that could affect the property that are not recorded. If that happens, title insurance steps in. We talked about mechanics liens. If the current owner sells a property today and he or she didn't pay a contractor, the contractor has 90 days to file a mechanics lien, right? After they provided this work. So they file a lien after the new owner took ownership, and now the new owner is stuck with a mechanics lien. The title insurance steps in and covers. Title insurance covers against any unforeseen title defects, things we, the title company, do not see.
And of course, for us, it is not an obligation; it's an optional charge. For homeowners. But of course, we recommend it to our customers to get it because of that specific situation,
For
right?
sure, to protect themselves.
Right, because we don't know what's going to happen. But there is two different. I noticed that there is two different types of owner's title. Can you explain that?
You have the basic coverage and you have the enhanced coverage. The basic coverage is the face value of your purchase price, right? It covers it against any common title issues. So you're protected. It's a little cheaper, more affordable than the enhanced. The enhanced coverage has equity component, which means that it has the coverage of the purchase price plus an equity component to it, which means it can increase a little bit over time. It also has legal representation that the basic doesn't have, and then survey matters. So if any survey matters come up, yeah.
That's interesting. Legal representation. So if anything comes up in terms of a lien, they have a lawyer that can protect.
The claim. They want to make sure that the client doesn't lose anything, and if there's legal representation needed, then they step in and cover that. Yeah?
That's very interesting.
No, I think that's a great answer. One of the things that I've learned recently is a lot of people are a little worrisome on title just cost increasing, and so I have a lot of clients that are asking me, this says optional on the loan estimate. I want to take it out. And I'm like, nah, talk to the title agent first. Let's see what's going on before.
Yeah. Now more than ever, we encourage agents and loan officers to never say don't buy it, because fraud, forgeries is more active and more creative now. We have transactions where we have people impersonating sellers, but people buying without title insurance, and title insurance covers against fraud, forgeries, and stuff like that. So we want to advocate for title insurance.
And now that you bring that up, because I noticed that in some cases, sellers don't have to even come into the closing table anymore. They just do it electronically. And that also applies to the buyers. I think now that you can do electronically signing as well. When does that apply? I mean, who can do that?
Yeah. So, sellers can sign using RUN, which is an online remote notarization, which means that they have to go through a secure platform to do so. You can't just meet with me through Zoom and we can notarize that way. No, it has to be an approved platform by the underwriter. And the individuals have to have a social security number to do that, which means that they file taxes in this country. So there's certain regulations to be able to do that, but it's happening. And now with technology, we're seeing less people in person, higher risk of fraud and identity fraud, right? So title insurance will cover against those type of things. That's why it's getting a little bit more expensive. We're seeing those prices increase. Maryland just recently increased their title insurance premiums because their risks are getting higher. And it's all correlated.
Of course, I can see that now. Now I see why you will need owner's title insurance. But that's great. So let's talk about because there were some scenarios where customers were asking, hey, so can my wife sell without my authorization? So let's say this couple bought a house, right? But the wife was the one on the loan. The wife was the one who closed. He was not on title added, let's say signing. Now the question is, can that person sell the house without the husband's or wife's authorization? Yes.
If the wife is the only one on title and the wife is the only one on the loan, she can go and sell the property without your authorization. Now, that doesn't mean that you as husband doesn't have legal rights to the profits of the property, but that's family court, right? We had one scenario where we had the seller, the guy selling, and all of a sudden a lady shows up at our office and says, I found out that my soon-to-be ex-husband is selling the property without my approval. And that gave us a red flag that there was a divorce situation there, right? But she wasn't on title. So as title company, we couldn't see that. Why? Because she was not on title, and we only see what's on title and what's on the contract, right? And she came forward. She says, this property, we're getting divorced, and this property is part of our divorce process. And I don't want him to sell this property. Now, it became family law, but she gave us awareness of it, and now we couldn't proceed without her knowledge. Get that? Had she not stepped into our doors, we would have closed that deal. He would have closed that deal, and then there would have been a title claim, and title insurance would have stepped in to cover any issue.
Interesting. And we see sometimes where now more title companies and lenders also, they say, hey, if this is part of a marriage, the house is part of a marriage, then you have to kind of ask for authorization. We see that coming more often on these transactions, but unless, I guess, if they don't know, you can get away with it, it seems.
The reality is, if one spouse doesn't know what the other one is doing, if you're the only one on title, they could get away with it. But that's where, they obviously, us as real estate professionals, we don't advise them against any of that. We don't provide legal advice as to anything, but because we don't want them to come back and say, well, he said I could sell it, right? Yeah. Or he said I didn't have to buy title insurance, and now that situation comes up.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God. All right. Well, thank you so much, Miriam. This is awesome. First, because now our viewers can see these potential issues. Now they have a solution. And I want to thank you so much. So if they have questions for you directly, where can they contact you?
Yeah, our main office is in Woodbridge, Virginia. They can call us there at 571-298-3910.
Say that again.
I said it too fast, right? 571-298-3910. And then, of course, you can find us on our social media, which I'm sure you guys are going to.
What social media is it?
United Title in Instagram and Facebook as well.
Awesome. Well, Miriam, thank you so much. Manny, thank you so much for being with us as well.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.